Welcome to the Midlife Reinvention Queen podcast. I'm your host, Lorena Vasolo, the Midlife Reinvention Queen. I'm so happy you're here. I created this space for women in midlife just like you and me who know that there's more, who feel the stir to reimagine, reinvent, and redesign themselves and their lives. This is Midlife, unfiltered, unhinged, unapologetic. Here we ditch the outdated scripts about aging, perimenopause, menopause, and women in midlife, and instead we crown ourselves queens of midlife reinvention. This is where we step into our midlife queen era and where we stop living our midlives by default and start living our midlives by design. Let's go. I can't believe we're in episode 3 already. Today, we're going deep in the topic of what it means to live midlife by default versus midlife by design. And this distinction, this is one of the most important shifts you can make in midlife. And here's why. This is one of the most important mindset shifts you can make in midlife, to move from living your midlife by default in autopilot to living your midlife by design. Let's dive deeper into what that actually means and looks like for you. So most women in midlife, I myself, I arrived to midlife and I was living completely by default in autopilot, in survival mode, stuck in outdated versions of myself, stuck in loops of self-sabotaging, self-sacrificing, toxic patterns that weren't serving me, that were keeping me stuck, and that kept me from really empowering myself to live a life that I truly love and adore. So let's start by talking about how most women in midlife live by default. And this means that you're living in autopilot. And what happens when you're living by default? You are playing it safe. You are staying in the job you hate because it feels safe, because it's familiar, because it's what you've always done. And you're staying in the relationship that drains you or that's toxic or that is no longer fulfilling or satisfying because it's familiar, because you're too afraid to leave, because you don't know what you would do outside of that. And those are just some examples, right? You're settling, right? That's what living by default looks like. For me, when I reached my midlife and I was living in autopilot, living by default looked like staying in a marriage for 18 years. That was toxic, that was keeping me extremely unhappy, that was keeping me stuck in loops. And it looked like me living in a way that didn't honor myself. It was me living in a way that didn't know my own worth. I didn't honor my self-worth. I didn't feel confident. I didn't honor my needs. I didn't honor my desires. I didn't honor my boundaries. I didn't honor my passions. I didn't prioritize my pleasure, my joy. Right? I was living in autopilot. I was doing all the things I was supposed to do, and I was trying to keep it all together, and I was being hyper independent and overachieving and keeping it all together. And it was making me not just miserable, depressed, anxious, but it was making me sick. I ended up with terrible autoimmune disease. I was very, very sick. This led my body to end up having very premature labor of my daughter, and it led me on a path that really almost took me down and took my daughter down. And so, it can have really serious consequences, and it also keeps you miserable, right? Because when you're not living a life where you are connected to your body, connected to yourself, honoring who you are, honoring your needs, honoring your boundaries, where you have self-love, self-respect, where you have confidence, where you prioritize your joy, your pleasure, your dreams, your passions, your intuition, your desires. If you're not living a life with all of that, you're not going to be happy and you're not going to feel healthy. There's no well-being anywhere in there. And it's going to keep you stuck, right? It's going to keep you stuck in the job you hate, in the relationship that's not working, in the patterns of behaviors, in keep doing the same things and you'll keep getting what you've always gotten, and it'll keep you feeling the same way and your life will keep looking the same way. That is what living your midlife in default mode, in autopilot means. And it means also believing that you can't change, right? You tell yourself the story that you can't, that you're not ready, or you're not good enough, or you're too old, or it's too late, or it's too scary, or you're not prepared, or you need something else outside of you to make the change, but you can't make it just yet, right? These are all stories, narratives that we tell ourselves, right? We all tell ourselves what we want to hear, right? Your mind is really good at that, at telling you what you want to hear, so that you keep playing small, you stay stuck, you don't disrupt anything, you don't make any changes, because that's too scary for the mind that wants to keep you safe. So in order to reclaim yourself, and in order to truly live a life that feels yours, that is authentic to you, that is fulfilling, that is healthy, that makes you feel alive and excited, and is truly aligned with who you are and with your joy, your values, your needs, your passions, your dreams, your desires, you must live your midlife by design. That means living your midlife in a completely different way that you've been living. That means stepping away from the old, outdated version of you that has been doing the things that you've been doing up until now, breaking out of your comfort zone and embracing doing things in a different way, embracing the unknown, embracing the uncertainty, embracing the fear, embracing the I don't feel ready, embracing it all, getting past the excuses, getting past the narratives, breaking through and embodying a new version of you. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens choice by choice, step by step. One day at a time, you start doing things in a different way. And that's how you start becoming. And there's one essential component of this that is really a game changer. And we can't mantra our way into a new identity. We can't just write affirmations and say, I am a whole new me now. That's not enough, right? And just thinking it, right? Mindset work alone is not enough. You need to integrate nervous system work, and you need to integrate your body. That's where somatic work comes in, and embodiment work and identity work. You need to shift, you need to expand, and you need to upgrade yourself on every level: mind, body, energy, heart, soul. And this was what changed my life, because, we're very smart women. We have a lot of knowledge. There's a lot of information. We are really capable. We have been, living lives for decades. We're women in midlife. We've done a lot and we've accomplished a lot. But there's a part of us that is kind of stuck in our nervous system thermostat, right? And it's stuck in a mode of survival, of dysregulation, of functioning at this level where you are just going through the motions in autopilot. You are in survival mode. You push through because you can, because you're strong, you're hyper independent, right? I know, because I'm just like that. And you push through and you continue to override your body. You continue to override your needs. You continue to override and ignore your needs, your desires, your dreams. You continue to neglect your pleasure, your joy, your passions. And these are essentials. They're not nice to have. So you need to really embrace and understand that your joy, your pleasure, your passions, your dreams, your desires, your intuition, your body are not nice to haves. They are essentials. They're not luxuries or things that when you have time. No, they are essentials to your well-being, to your happiness, to your health, and to creating a life by design that is fully aligned with who you are and how you want to live your midlife and beyond. So midlife by design is bold. It's intentional. It's soul aligned. It's asking yourself, what do I really want? It's asking yourself, what truly lights me up? It's asking yourself, what do I desire? It's asking yourself, what do I dream of? What do I long for? What do I want? Most women in midlife that I work with don't know what they want because they haven't asked themselves. They haven't given themselves the opportunity to find out, right? They've forgotten. They feel like they've been so disconnected from themselves and they've neglected themselves so much for so many decades. And they're so disconnected from their body. They've been living from the neck up that they need to integrate this whole other part of themselves, right? Where your heart and your womb sits and where your desires and your dreams and your passions emotions and your intuition, your inner voice, and your body's wisdom is. You need to reclaim that and start listening to it with your whole self, because that's what's going to give you the answers. That's what's going to give you answers that are aligned with who you truly are and who you want to be. And so Midlife by Design asks you to think about what you want and to embody it, to start living it. It asks you to think about, what do you desire at this stage of your life? What truly makes you feel alive? What truly matters to you? What is meaningful to you at this stage of your life? And what legacy do you wish to leave? That's what Midlife by Design means. And then having the courage to embody it, to embrace it, to live it, having the courage to give yourself permission to lean into it, to start embodying it, to start taking aligned action, and to become the version of you who is living her life by design. And I want to tell you, my beautiful queens, it's not always easy, but it's so worth it. And it's the only way to live a truly authentic, fulfilling life. And I'll tell you, when I left my toxic marriage at 42 and I faced the reality of starting over as a single mom, completely broke and bankrupt in midlife, with my daughter with complex medical needs after being born a micropreemie at 25 weeks gestation. I could have just stayed in default mode. I could have just stayed because I was scared. I was exhausted. I was, heartbroken. I didn't know how I was going to do it. So I could have stayed in that default mode. I could have stayed in that outdated version of myself that was just settling for less, that was settling for being a victim, staying in the pain, staying in the chaos, staying in the survival mode, and feeling defeated and feeling like a failure, like I had failed my daughter. But I didn't. I chose to take myself out of that and take my daughter out of that and started reimagining, reinventing, and redesigning my life. And if I can go from my sister's basement, being bankrupt, to living an abundant and beautiful life with my daughter in Mexico, with the love of my life, and helping other women do the same, then I know that beautiful things and powerful change is possible for you as well, my beautiful queen, because I'm just like you, right? There's nothing extraordinary about me. I was born in Argentina. I grew up a little girl in Argentina in chaos and a dictatorship. And then my parents moved to Canada, and I grew up an immigrant girl in Canada and faced all those challenges. And my 20s and 30s were filled with chaos and survival mode and toxic relationships and depression and autoimmune disease and eating disorders and self-abandonment and self-sabotage. And then it wasn't until my late 20s, after I became a mom, that I stopped living my midlife in autopilot and by default and in trauma and pain. And I reclaimed myself, reclaimed my worth, and started reimagining, reinventing, and redesigning. Now I'm living my midlife by design at 52, and I've never been happier and I've never felt better. So this is why I will continue to tell you the power of choosing to stop living your midlife in autopilot and start living your midlife by design is so worth it. Because it'll lead you to the life of your dreams. It'll lead you to living the midlife of your dreams. And that's what I want for you. And I know that's what you want too. It'll lead you to living the midlife of your dreams. And I know that's what you want. And that's what I want for you as well, my beautiful queen. So as always, I'll ask you to take a moment to close your eyes. Take some nice, long, deep breaths in through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Really filling up the chest, expanding the chest as you breathe in and expanding the belly, and then exhaling. Let it all out. Let yourself land in your body and feel safe and present in this moment. And I want you to imagine your perfect day as a midlife queen, living a perfect day in your midlife by design. What does that look like? What does a perfect day living your midlife by design look like? Where are you? Who are you with? How do you feel? What are you doing? What do you say yes to? What do you say no to? What does being a midlife queen who is living her midlife by design look and feel like to you? And take a moment to really let the power of your imagination bring her to life and bring that to life. Don't censor yourself. Don't filter yourself. Let it be bold. Let it be juicy. Let it be unapologetic. Let it be big. Let yourself dream big, imagine big, desire big, want big, live big. This is your one and only life, my beautiful queen. This is your one and only life. The first half of your life is already gone. You've lived it. Now you're in the middle of your life. If you're a woman in your 40s, 50s, 60s, this is your time to redefine, reimagine, and reinvent and redesign how you want to live the second half of your life. This second chapter, it's yours to rewrite, reinvent, and redesign. Let's make it your most beautiful, my beautiful queen, because the best is yet to come. I truly believe that. And later you can take a moment to write whatever you imagine in your journal, and know that living by design is not just a mindset. It's a daily practice. It's a somatic practice. It's an embodiment practice. It's noticing when you're falling into autopilot and choosing differently over and over and over every day, moment by moment. It's saying yes to the things that ignite your soul. It's saying no to the things that drain you. It's saying yes to the things that give you life, that give you joy, that give you pleasure, and saying no to the things that bring you down, that keep you stuck. It's saying yes to everything that's aligned with your dreams, your passions, your pleasure, your desires, and saying no to everything that is not aligned with who you truly want to be and how you want to live in midlife and beyond. And remember, my queens, midlife is too precious to live by default. This is your invitation to redesign your life based on your joy, your passions, your dreams, your needs, your values, your desires. So today, pick an area of your life, whether it's your relationship, your career, your health, your creativity, whatever it is, and say, am I living this by default or by design? If it's by default, write down one small step you can take to reclaim it intentionally and switch it to your design. That is the power of living your midlife by design. You can do that every single day, moment by moment, in every area of your life. You are the architect of yourself, and you are the architect, the creatrix of your midlife and beyond. Every choice, every action, every yes, every no builds your midlife queen era. So, my beautiful midlife queen, I ask you, are you living by default or are you living by design? This is your reminder. This is your wake-up call. This is your invitation to stop living by default. Break out of the autopilot and start living your midlife by design. And I'll leave you with that today, my beautiful queens. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, share this episode with another beautiful midlife queen, and get ready for next week's episode. We are going to be diving into a topic that I love and that I can't wait to talk to you about. It's a series called Menopause Made Me Do It, or Perimenopause Made Me Do It. And it's all about reframing the midlife narrative. And we're going to talk about the things that we've done because of perimenopause and menopause. So, my beautiful queens, this is your time to step into your midlife queen identity. This is your midlife queen era. Remember, your throne is waiting. And as I always say, crown on and rock on, my beautiful queens. I am so grateful that you're here, and I can't wait to connect with you again next week. Sending you lots of love.